His 4th year at Oklahoma. What a job he has done having people in Norman discover big-time basketball. John Danaher, the veteran in his 20th year, and Dayton following the great Tom Blackburn over there. And this man will be an assistant coach to Bobby Knight in the 1984 Olympic team this summer for the United States. This team started out at 7-7 in what they were calling the year of the dream for the Dayton Flyers, a year of dreams. Didn't look like they'd be going anywhere, and here they are, an upset of LSU, and they're all even with Oklahoma at 22, 9:49 to play, first half.
That last basket is very typical Wayman Tisdale basket. He shoots the ball quickly. They know they're not going to stop him, and now we've got Oklahoma going to a zone defense. They realize there's no way in a man-to-man they can handle Roosevelt Chapman, so they're going to try the zone.
Tisdale has 10 points already. 9:30 to play first half. From the corner, that is Goodwin missing, and the Sooners rebound. Tisdale tipped it to Clark. Sean Clark. Top 4 guard playing the backcourt with Pennell. Also Gandy is now in. Sooners substituted a little more earlier than we expected. John Gandy. And that drops for Tisdale. 12 points for Wayman, 24-22.
The key for Dayton is they just can't let him get the ball in there. They can have 2 or 3 men around him. He doesn't care. He's used to that. He can score.
Schellenberg. Tony in the backcourt for Dayton. Goodwin. Number 23, Damon Goodwin.
Yeah, I think Dayton will do real well against the zone defense of Oklahoma. And I think they've got the outside shooters to do it.
They're tied at 24. Damon Goodwin had 16 points against LSU on Thursday night. 10-point average on the season. That won't drop for Tisdale. Rebound, Tony. Tony for Dayton. Schellenberg. Schellenberg.
I'm impressed with the poise by Dayton. You know, they're not afraid to take 1 or 2 passes and put it up in a hurry.
Dayton by 2. Flyers say that Oklahoma stepped out of bounds. Sean Clark.
After some early going difficulty, North Carolina had an 11-point win. Same with Indiana.
Kentucky did a job on BYU. The fans out here in Salt Lake not happy with that result. Underneath, Tisdale hooks. And it drops. We're tied at 26. 7:48 remaining in the first half. We'll be going to Brent Musburger in New York to bring you up to date on scores and highlights from around the entire NCAA tournament day.
We got a kick violation, so they'll inbound the ball on the side. Dayton. Notice in that zone, they've got the outside shooters, and yet they still look inside to Roosevelt Chapman. He's only 6'4", and he's not afraid to go in there with the big Oklahoma guys.
We haven't identified our officials as yet. Rich Weiler, Don Rutledge, and Paul Hausman working this West Region second-round game. Tony off the back iron, rebound, taken by the Sooners. Clark. This is Pennell. Jan Pennell.
That's a tough shot on the fast break to fake it and then shoot it that quickly and not use the backboard. That's a pretty good shot.
Pennell, a senior from Washington, D.C. He's got a muscle pull in his stomach. McAllister playing with a stress fracture in his shin and a pulled calf muscle. Calvin Pierce, we mentioned, his broken left hand. David Johnson's had the flu. The Sooners are hurting and not feeling too well, but they're leading by 2. Here's Chapman. He is tough to stop. Roosevelt Chapman. Back come the Sooners. Pennell to Pierce. Trying to get it to Tisdale, and Zern in for the Flyers. Intercepted. Tony will bring it up. Flyers flying. Chapman misses. Covered by Pierce. Gandy back for the Sooners. Sooners would like to run the ball. Tisdale misses 2 in a row.
Excellent job of rebounding by the Dayton Flyers. They really boxed out. Oklahoma is just not intent on crashing the boards. Dayton is doing a real good job of just giving him 1 shot.
Tony and Schellenberg in the backcourt for Dayton. That's Goodwin. Baseline jumper. A dandy for Damon Goodwin. Sophomore from St. Mary's, Ohio. Goodwin. He was a quarterback in high school, and he handles the ball real well. Well, you see Chapman with 12, Tisdale with 14, Tisdale with a rebound in. That's missed from outside by Gandy. And again, Dayton rebounding, Lynn. This is Goodwin.
Oh, yeah. I was really surprised he took that shot. You know, that's a fast break type game that Dayton didn't think they wanted to play. But Goodwin in his own mind felt he had the shot going for him. And if a player has that confidence, he should take it.
Flyers by 4. Oklahoma in white. Dayton in red. Foul underneath. It'll be on the big man, Zern. Jeff Zern, number 50, sophomore center from Cheektowaga, New York.
Tim McAllister, who has not taken any shots from the outside or hit any, it comes back into the contest. Replacing Don Gandy.
Dayton with 17 fouls. Tisdale will go to the line. There is Coach Don Donaher looking for a little look on this St. Patrick's Day with a great Irish name like that. And it was more than luck that beat LSU on Thursday night. Dayton was better. 32-29 as Tisdale hits. Tisdale is a 62% free throw shooter. He's shooting nearly as well from the field. He's a 58% shooter from the field. And Oklahoma brings in the big man, David Johnson, 6'8" freshman from Kansas City, and Tisdale gets a rest.
Johnson can play as a freshman both forward and center. He's a big guy. He started a lot of games for them this year.
He was in the hospital with a case of the flu Monday and Tuesday this week. Turnover by Dayton, and the foul is going to be called on the Flyers. Goodwin was trying to draw a foul against Oklahoma, but the official saw him stepping in. Third foul on Goodwin, and that could be damaging to Dayton. They're not real deep, and Goodwin is off to a real good start, Lynn.
And another damaging point is that Oklahoma's in the bonus, and yet Dayton is a long way away from breaching the bonus. Oklahoma has only 2 team fouls. Remember, it's not until the 7th that you start shooting the 1-and-1. So Oklahoma's going to have a lot of free throws between now and the end of the first half.
Pennell will go to the line for the Sooners. Dan Christie, a freshman from Oak Harbor, Ohio, has come in to replace Damon Goodwin for Dayton.
The winner of this game, by the way, will go on and play the winner of the Washington-Duke game, which will be contested in Pullman tomorrow.
Won't drop in the rebound, Chapman. Dayton by 1, 32-31. Tony brings it up court. Schellenberg, this is Young. Top of the key. Finds Chapman. He's watched by Calvin Pierce. Feeding off to Christie. 4:50 remaining first half. So far, the Dayton Flyers have not been awed by the 29 victories of Oklahoma. Chapman underneath.
He is tough inside. You know, I was looking at him before the game. He doesn't really have big hands, but they're obviously very strong, as evidenced by that play.
What a touch he has, too. He had just a little spin on that off the glass. A smile from Chapman. And Pennell trying from outside for the Sooners. Rebound, Schellenberg to Tony. Tony in traffic, and it's knocked away by Sean Clark. Fine defensive play by Clark. For Pierce. Chapman on the steal. The pass intended for McAllister.
That's a break right there for Dayton, because Roosevelt Chapman was in a heap of trouble. He didn't have anywhere to go.
4:03 remaining. Dayton by 3. We'll be back. Tim Ryan with Lynn Shackelford, live from Salt Lake City, Utah, the Special Event Center at the University of Utah. We have a 3-point margin for the Flyers of Dayton over Oklahoma, 34-31. Wayman Tisdale, everybody's All-America, has himself 16 points at this stage of the game with 4:03 to play in the first half.
Keep in mind, he is only a sophomore. However, with those 16 points today, he is now Oklahoma's men's career scoring leader, passing Alvin Adams, who had 1,707 points in 4 years of competition.
Flyers in red. They have the ball. Ed Young outside to Schellenberg underneath.
You know, it's the old story in basketball. Maybe you don't have the height, but quickness sometimes can prevail. And that was a perfect example of quickness of Dayton around the taller Oklahoma defense.
Any view of a physical matchup between those teams, the advantage clearly to Oklahoma. There's one example there. Tisdale rebounding as Johnson let it fly from outside. But as you point out, the Flyers, first of all, are not at all intimidated by the Sooners. And their quickness and smart so far has them still in front by 3.
Oklahoma had to go back to the man-to-man defense.
Look at that, Chapman. And he is fouled. Chance for a 3-point play. Sean Clark fouling for Oklahoma. There is Roosevelt Chapman.
Tim, Dayton is one of 2 independents in the NCAA tournament, and here's an opportunity to see one of the great players in the country. And you know, as an independent, we don't get to see them that much on TV during the season. And here's an opportunity to see, I think, a great player, and that's what the NCAA tournament can bring you. Now, he shoots far to his right on the foul line. His coach doesn't like it, because sometimes you don't get the sloppy bounce. He got it right there. I can think of 2 players come to mind very quickly. Bob Boozer and Henry Bibby used to shoot off center like that.
39-33. Dayton by 6. 3 minutes to play first half. Dayton one of only 2 independents in the tournament. All the others. Clark missing from the corner. It'll be Oklahoma ball.
But Dayton is in a zone defense, I think. Have to take a closer look at it here. They're going to certainly zone in now on the inbounds pass baseline.
Donaher says his team really plays better in the man. So we'll see zone. Johnson from outside, and there's a push underneath against Ed Young.
Yeah, he pushed Wayman Tisdale. They have 3 people in that zone around Wayman Tisdale. They're conceding that outside shot.
How about that big David Johnson? He's thrown up about 3 from out there. 6'8", 230-pounder. Freshman from Kansas City with an 8.3 average coming into the game. Zern is coming back in. Number 50, Jeff Zern, the sophomore from Cheektowaga, New York, a suburb of Buffalo. He was an early starter this season, and then things didn't go so well for Zern, but he had a good game the other night coming off the bench. 6 points against LSU for Oklahoma rebounding.
For Oklahoma, Chu Kennedy replacing Sean Clark in the backcourt department, and I think they're looking for some outside shooting.
Tisdale hits one. Houston leading Louisiana Tech, and West Virginia in front of Maryland by 2. Of course, we'll bring you totally up to date in a couple of minutes' time from our studios in New York with Brent Musburger. 39-35. Flyers by 4. Tony brings it up. Dan Christie, a freshman, number 14. In the backcourt with Tony, Schellenberg, Chapman, and Zern. The other 3 Flyers in action. McAllister, Pennell, Tisdale, Kennedy, and Johnson for Oklahoma. Sooners rebound. Tisdale, 3 men guarding Wayman Tisdale, and one of them fouling. That is Christie. And Tisdale might have caught a hand or a finger in the eye. He's all right. But there were 3 Flyers around that big man, and I'm sure he's used to seeing that kind of traffic, Lynn.
The coaches say not only is he used to having 2 and 3 men around him, but he's used to getting bumped around, and that he just really takes it well.
Tisdale is now 7 of 7 from the free throw line. So this guy will hurt you from everywhere, although, as we pointed out, he's not a great percentage shooter, 62.4 from the free throw line. Oklahoma not a great free throw shooting team. But he hits 2 more, and it's now 39-37. Also at the half, we're going to preview the Illinois State DePaul game. These Dayton Flyers split with DePaul this year, which is a measure of their talent. As we mentioned, Dayton and DePaul, the only 2 independents in the tournament. Tony from outside. Beautiful shot. Cedric Tony. He started off very coolly against LSU the other night, but wound up with 12 points. And a foul against Jeff Zern. Second foul for Zern, the big man. And Young, the other big guy, has 3.
Sometimes, you know, they really bang Wayman around. That time he just had a forearm on him, and he got the foul call. Really not what you would call a normal foul out there. I'm sure he's been hit much harder today and not had the whistle blown.
Tisdale's got the range from that free throw line today. 2 more.
He doesn't look like a 65%er with that touch he's got there going.
10 out of 10 for Tisdale. And 24 points in the first half. 41-39, Dayton by 2. Schellenberg. There's Tony. Won't go. Rebound. Houston, and Zern steals and drops it. Jeff Zern. 4-point margin for Dayton. 1:10 to play first half. Kennedy for Pennell. Back to Kennedy, and he lost control, and a foul called against Oklahoma.
Wayman Tisdale telling Pennell, puts his arm around him, settle down, it's okay. Just give it to me, I'll take care of everything. And he has so far in the first half. He's kept them in it. You know, Oklahoma's not noted for being a good free throw shooting team. And that's really helped them. When we talk about free throw shooting, that shows you the story right there. Dayton, of course, doesn't work for many free throws. They're satisfied with the outside shot.
10 of those free throw points belong to Tisdale.
Wisely, I think, on Dayton's part, they're just going to run it down. We got about 40 seconds left here in the half, and they'll just go for the 1 shot.
43-39, a somewhat surprising halftime margin for the Dayton Flyers.
I'm surprised, number 1, that they're ahead. Number 2, though, I'm really surprised that this is a high scoring of a game that it is. Surprised Dayton was able to take as many fast breaks and run with Oklahoma.
Down to 20 seconds. Chapman is working along the baseline, now works his way outside. Down to 11. Tony can hit from out there. If they give it to him, he'll shoot it. He's working his way to his spot. Now to Christie. 2 seconds. There's Tony from way out, and it won't go. Well, we have an interesting first half. At the end of the first half, Dayton 43, Oklahoma 39. CBS Sports coverage of the NCAA basketball tournament will continue after this commercial message and a word from your local station. There is our score at halftime in this West Region second round game from Salt Lake City. The Dayton Flyers 43, Oklahoma 39. CBS Sports coverage of the NCAA Basketball Championship will continue after this commercial message and a word from your local station.
One of the great players in the country, and he has done it with some great play inside. You know, the other players are hitting from the outside, but he's just going right inside, takes it in there. He's one of those players that has great body control. Whatever move he makes, he can kind of vamp in the air.
Well, Chapman has scored from inside the key. He's popped a couple from outside, and he's got such a great touch and timing.
And he also has that ability to kind of hang in the air that we've seen some other great players have, like Elgin Baylor and Adrian Dantley over the year. Wayman Tisdale, though, he's a great talent, too. What a brilliant first half he had. You know, watch how he shoots the ball quick. He doesn't bring the ball down. Now, some people would say, oh, he makes it look easy, but that's not easy. That's good coaching he had when he was young. 24
points, 10 of them from the free throw line, where he is not at his strongest, but today he's been perfect from there, 10 for 10. All right, Oklahoma in white, Dayton in red. And the Sooners inbound it. They trail by 4. We're underway second half. Pierce, Pennell, McAllister, Tisdale, Kennedy starting for the Sooners. Tisdale, turnaround, won't drop. Rebound McAllister, the freshman outside of Pennell. And he gives it out to Pierce. Tisdale, and misses again. Rebound, Kennedy won't drop. Second effort. Rebound, finally Dayton.
And Tisdale is hurt. We got it. The official's going to stop the play. Wayman got hurt on that miss.
It was off the play, and I did not see what happened watching the action with Kennedy underneath. Tisdale cannot see where he is. Now it looks like he's holding his leg, his left leg.
Yeah, I think it happened when he missed that shot he had into there.
Wayman Tisdale, what a blow this would be. Billy Tubbs has got to be very concerned about this development. Wayman Tisdale getting some attention on the baseline there, and it looks like it's his ankle. Well, he's up and apparently all right. Let's go back and see what happened.
Okay, comes down. He landed right on the foot of another player, the Dayton Flyers. See Wayman Tisdale's left foot, and that's many times how you can sprain an ankle in a basketball game inside, coming down on the side of someone else's foot. Now, if he can walk that way, what they'll probably do is take that shoe off, throw some tape on it, and he can get back in the game if it's not too serious.
Well, that's 240 pounds coming down off balance, and that hurts. So
David Johnson, the freshman, comes in to play center, as he did momentarily in the first half, too, for Oklahoma.
Number 55, Dayton with the ball. Tony. Dayton leads by 4. Just underway, second half. There's Goodwin. He's hit 3 from there. Damon Goodwin and Young for Dayton each have 3 fouls, and Goodwin's got a hot hand. They want to keep him in there.
You know, Dayton is a very good second half team, particularly Chapman. He looks like he gets stronger as the game goes on, although he missed. That wasn't Chapman.
Chu Kennedy couldn't hit from underneath for Oklahoma, and Tony comes up with another rebound.
And Wayman Tisdale, with the team trainers and doctors, is going to the locker room.
Ball goes out of bounds. It'll be Flyers ball. And there is big Wayman Tisdale, All-American, his sophomore year, going for some attention to that, what is apparently an ankle injury. What a blow that would be. He had 24 points in the first half. Dayton will inbound. Chapman, Young, Tony, Schellenberg, and Goodwin, the starting 5 for Dayton. That is Tony, good-looking athlete. Schellenberg inside Chapman, and he is fouled by Pierce. Roosevelt Chapman from Brooklyn, New York, found his way to Dayton, Ohio, and he is a player.
He's been a 4-year starter for Dayton.
2 shots coming up for Chapman. You saw Pierce, the offender, on the play for Oklahoma. Johnson, McAllister, Pierce, Pennell, and Sean Clark is back in number 24 for the Sooners.
That shot might have been an example of what we were talking in the first half about shooting off at a side there, that maybe had he shot that straight on, he would have got a little better bounce on the basket. You can see, once again, he shoots off to the side. But that's what he feels comfortable with. Pretty good free throw shooter, so they don't want to change it.
We talked about Tisdale becoming the Oklahoma all-time scorer. Chapman is the all-time Dayton scorer, passing Donnie May. Chapman, a senior. Tisdale, a sophomore. Pierce, oh, what a nice play. Calvin Pierce, the transfer student for the Sooners.
Good look right here at this Dayton defense that they've thrown up. Looks like about a 1-3-1 zone.
Outside Tony. Cedric Tony is shooting over that Oklahoma zone. Sooners back the other way. Pierce. Pierce with Chapman, and nice play by Pierce. He drew the foul from Roosevelt Chapman.
Oh, they're not going to give it to him.
My goodness. Oh, my goodness. I sure thought that had to be a foul on Chapman, Lynn. Let's look at it.
Well, there is the foul, but they're not going to give him the basket. He goes up, he takes the shot, and there's the foul right there. He was in the act of shooting.
Well, they did call the foul. I thought for a second there they weren't going to call that. 2 on Chapman. In fact, Chapman gave him a little push before he came down on him, too. Johnson, the big guy. David Johnson, the 6'8", 230-pound freshman from Kansas City. 48-43, Flyers by 5.
Notice Oklahoma's taken off the full court press. They've gone to a half-court zone here, a spread out of 1-3-1.
Tony in the corner to Goodwin. Cedric Tony won't drop, and Goodwin knocks it away from Pennell.
But I think you'll also notice that the defense is spread out. Dayton's getting a lot of open shots. They're going to call an offensive foul on Tony.
Billy Tuff, he's a Jack Nicholson look-alike and sound-alike. Probably sounds more like him than he looks like him, but there's definitely a similarity.
Good news for Dayton is that's only the first foul of the contest on Tony.
5-point margin for the Flyers. Big David Johnson with a lob pass, can't make the bucket, and it's rebounded by Tony. Tony's been rebounding very well for Dayton, and he's not one of their big guys, just 6'2", but good anticipation. Schellenberg, Young inside, won't go off the back iron, rebound Pierce.
Yeah, I think Dayton can get a lot of good shots on that big spread out zone that Oklahoma's employed.
McAllister misses, and Tisdale coming back. Johnson underneath. There'll be no basket. Foul was called just before the shot. Ball didn't drop for him anyway, and I believe it's Young.
Oh, I'll tell you, Tisdale wasn't able to put much pressure on that ankle when he turned around and sat down there. They're going to let him go try it, though.
He's coming in, and Young is leaving with 4 fouls. Jeff Zern comes back in for Dayton. Tisdale will try out that tender ankle.
Yeah, he doesn't look like he's able to run on it. But sometimes when you sprain an ankle in a game, you keep playing on it, and it gets better as the game progresses. You forget about it.
Well, that one bounced up over the glass and will be Flyers ball. So with 4 fouls on Young, Dayton has Zern back in the lineup. Tisdale moving very gingerly for Oklahoma down at his end as Dayton brings it up.
They're now telling Wayman Tisdale, hey, Wayman, we're in a zone. He was playing man-to-man. But again, watch how the zone is really spread out. Maybe if Dayton makes 2 or 3 good passes, they'll get a real good open shot.
Chapman, and that's knocked away. Recovered by Schellenberg. Zern with a jumper, and the big man hits. Jeff Zern.
That's a real needed lift they get, Dayton, from Zern coming off the bench, because he's a big guy, and they need to play him in there a lot today if he's playing well.
7-point margin, biggest of the game by either team. This is Pierce. He is very handy at that inside move and a layup.
Well, I like Oklahoma's strategy. Keep going inside, trying to wear them down.
Houston with a 7-point lead over Louisiana Tech at the half. Underneath Chapman, and will it count or not?
I'll tell you, that's a break if it does count. That whistle sounded awfully early before the shot. Yes, it does count.
Chapman goes to the line with a chance for a 3-point play. 52-45. Roosevelt Chapman with 29 against LSU that got Dayton here for round 2. Oklahoma with a bye, bringing it to 29 and 4 record, the best ever record. And the Big 8, the best ever Oklahoma record, and tied with Georgetown for the most wins this season. 29 victories. Mark underneath to Pierce. 2 men on him, turnaround jumper. Looked like Tisdale on that.
Well, that's Oklahoma's game. Wear you down in the second half. Keep going inside. Pierce is doing a real good job of taking nice little turnaround jumpers.
He's a senior from Chicago, Illinois, with a 9.5 average. Tony.
Well, you can see that zone is just so spread out that Dayton, if they can make a couple passes, they'll have 3 or 4 guys open for really good shots, I think, anywhere on the court.
10 points for Cedric Tony. They've all been from outside. Cannell for the Sooners. Lobs into Tisdale, and Zern does a good job.
He's not at 100% at all in there, Wayman Tisdale. I think because he was leery of the jump, that's why he was short on his shot.
Schellenberg and Tony in the backcourt. Schellenberg bounces into Chapman. It won't go. Zern trying to keep it alive, and he's fouled by Cannell. Jeff Zern, fouled by Cannell, will go to the line for 2. 7-point margin for Dayton. Tim Ryan and Lynn Shackelford live from the University of Utah.
Chapman's not afraid against those big guys to put it up. Look, he handles the ball so well. He's so smooth in there, and he can hang in the air.
Smooth as velvet is nicknamed. We'll be back. We are at the University of Utah, and Athletic Director Arnie Farron is our host here for this NCAA tournament action, and we thank him for his great cooperation, that of his staff, here in snowbound Utah. Well, these kids didn't worry about the snow. The band from Dayton, 36 hours on a bus to get here, and about 60 diehard fans have made their own way here, and right now they're smelling upset. 55-47, Flyers lead. Cedric Tony, and he is fouled on the play. A second consecutive chance for a 3-point play by the Flyers of Dayton. Cedric Tony, who was cold starting against LSU, wound up with a real good evening of 12 points, most of them in the second half, and LSU, and they are trying to dump that number 2 seed in the West, Oklahoma. A 10-point margin for Dayton, the biggest in the game.
You know, we knew going in that Roosevelt Chapman had All-American talent, and we knew Dayton was a good team, but I think what we're also seeing that Dayton has some outstanding players besides Roosevelt Chapman.
Tisdale's basket goes in. Foul called before that, however. They will not get the 2 points. Pushing foul called on Zern, his 3rd. Young has 4. Goodwin and Zern now each have 3. Pierce. And a foul is called this time. It looks like Tony.
Yeah, and very quickly, Dayton has now 4 team fouls. And Pierce is the man in the second half that's really done the damage offensively for Oklahoma. He looks quick out there.
Pierce, 2 shots.
Calvin Pierce, 64% shooter from the free throw line, the senior from Chicago. Some advantage on his left hand. He has a broken left hand. This is the first of 2. 67-47, 10-point lead for Dayton. 14:34 to play, regulation time. Pierce makes 1 and cuts the margin to 9. Dayton in red. Oklahoma, the Sooners, who have turned Norman into a basketball town, are in the white jerseys and looking uphill right now in the mountains of Salt Lake City.
Oklahoma's gone back to a man-to-man defense. They're looking inside for Roosevelt Chapman.
Goodwin, Chapman, Zern, Schellenberger, and Tony for the Flyers. Chapman. Roosevelt Chapman. Wondrous. Roosevelt Chapman. McAllister. Tisdale.
Tisdale's in pain with that ankle. Look, you can see him limping as he goes down the court and grimace a little bit. And he's favoring that left ankle, but he can still hit that shot inside.
First points of the second half for Tisdale. He's got 26. Tony pulls up and banks it. Cedric Tony's got a hot hand. 14 for him. Oh, all puts that credibility on the line. Pennell, Tisdale, McAllister, Clark. That's Sean Clark. Rebound Zern. Tipped to him by Tony.
Second half, you can see Dayton, and I'll tell you, they're doing it with shots inside.
Oklahoma shooting at only 36% this half. Chapman. Won't go that time for Chapman.
Dayton fans couldn't believe that he missed it.
Sean Clark working the corner and a foul off the ball.
Offensive foul on Pierce. Yeah, he really came down and banged in there for position.
Damon Goodwin was the recipient of the damage from Pierce. It'll be Dayton ball. 13:03 to play. 61-50. Dayton lead.
Tim, Dayton is shooting a very good percentage because they're getting shots inside, and they can continue to get them inside because I think Tisdale's a little slowed down defensively, so he doesn't have that mobility to come over and block shots.
Good point, Lynn. This is Chapman. Roosevelt Chapman. From the foul line, off to Schellenberger, and
that's it. Nope.
3 bounces and out. And it'll be Oklahoma ball out of bounds. A year of dreams. The Dayton theme was, there's Coach Don Donaher. Whether he was dreaming or not, his team was 18-10 a year ago, did not get invited anywhere. This year, the same record against tougher opposition. A split with DePaul, his team gets invited. And the rumor is they might have been the last team selected for this tournament. Here they are, an upset over LSU and heading for a possible upset over Oklahoma, but we still have 12:36 to go. McAllister for Pierce, and a good play by Chapman. Out of bounds to the broadcast table, and we nearly had a soft drink in our lap. Your hands are supposed to be quicker than that, Shackelford.
Right, bad hands, but watch the hands of Roosevelt Chapman on this block. He really swatted that hard. He can play both ends.
Oklahoma ball. Clark for Pennell. Pierce. McAllister. McAllister's first one go. Rebound. Pierce, and a great play by Pierce.
Offensive foul.
An offensive foul.
They're going to take it away from him. That's too bad. That was a brilliant gets this rebound, and he just somehow or other finds an opening up there. They say he backed in. True, he did back in. There's no question. You can see it there.
You know what's a problem for Oklahoma? McAllister does not have a point in this game. And that hot shooting freshman is the guy they need from outside, especially with Tisdale playing hurt.
Yeah, Dayton can just back up more and more on defense.
Chapman misses, and Clark rebounds for the Sooners. Cannell. Tisdale. He cannot jump. Here. And he's fouled.
No goaltending.
No goaltending. The basket counts. Chapman, I believe, got the hand up. There he is.
Yeah.
So the basket counts. Pierce.
Tisdale obviously hampered by that ankle. And Pierce is the man offensively here in the contest for Oklahoma. He's got 9 of his 15 points in the second half.
And there you saw the goaltending by Chapman, and the points for Pierce. 61-52. Chapman from the corner, baseline jumper goes.
Well, Roosevelt Chapman is a good outside shooter. He missed one before, but that's good that he's not afraid to take it again.
25 points for Chapman. No basket, a foul on Zern, and that's 4 for him. So the two big men for Dayton, Young and Zern, each have 4, and we still have 11:22 to play.
Yeah, Dayton's up by 9, but there's a long way to go in this contest. That's going to be a big factor down the stretch, especially if Tisdale can just hang in there with that bad ankle. There's your foul situation there. Oklahoma's basically in good shape.
Tisdale off the front iron. Chapman is called for pushing Cannell, and that will be Chapman's 3rd foul. Cannell will go to the line. 16 fouls for Dayton, 6 for Oklahoma with 11:19 to play.
Chapman is a player who typically does not get in foul trouble or foul out of a game, and he's not afraid to play 35, 40 minutes. So it'll be interesting to see whether they take him out of the game or not.
Cannell hits the first free throw. In comes Hughes to replace Zern. So they've had to go one more down with this foul problem. Don Hughes, a freshman from Kettering, Ohio at 6'9". Number 34 comes into the game. Young and Zern both in foul trouble. Cannell with a second to 2. Let's go. Rebound Chapman. 10-point margin Dayton.
Now, Oklahoma picks up once again in that half-court zone trap, you might want to call it.
Good one. Won't drop for him. Oklahoma rebound. Clark got a lot of room, missed it in. Good one rebounded, and Hughes picks up a foul. Don Hughes just into the game. Picks up a foul underneath.
Now, not only do the fouls become a big factor, but Oklahoma is going to be going to the free throw line for 1-and-1s for the last 11 minutes here. And their free throw shooting will be a big factor, too. They're only a 65% shooting team at the line.
Oklahoma is 13 of 16 from the line today. Dayton's only been there 5 times. Cannell hits. Interesting thing, Mike Newell, one of the assistant coaches of Oklahoma, questioned about the low free throw percentage of his team, said, well, yes, but in tough games, our kids have come through from the line. We're doing it today. Cannell hits 2. 63 to 55. Oklahoma only has 1 free throw shooter over 70%. That's McAllister. They've been hot from there today. Tony for Hughes. Schellenberg. Good one out to Tony. Back to Goodwin. Goodwin off the back iron. Rebound. Chapman. And he's fouled by Pierce. Chapman with another chance for a 3-point play.
All his plays are pretty to watch. Chapman, he's going to get the rebound. Watch how he cups the ball with one arm against his body to control it. And then he knows exactly how he wants to go up and just protects it and just puts it in. This guy's pretty smooth.
27 points, 8 rebounds for Chapman. That is the 3rd foul on the man you just looked at, Calvin Pierce.
You know, this team, Dayton, has mostly Ohio players. Chapman, of course, being one of them from out of state. Westinghouse High School in Brooklyn. He knows how to play that game inside, even though he's listed at 6'4".
11-point margin for the Flyers of Dayton. Oh, pretty pass, and Pennell hits on the feed from McAllister. Sooners battling back, 66-57. At halftime, Maryland with a huge margin over West Virginia, 55-39.
Bigger call traveling on Chapman. That was real good defense by Oklahoma. They really cut him off at baseline. He was surprised by it and traveled as a result.
Sooners like to run. They've been not able to get an effective running game going against a 34-27 Houston leading Louisiana Tech in the second half. From outside, Pennell, and he's got 14 points. Jan Pennell, the senior guard from Washington, D.C. A foul on Sean Clark, trying to make the steal off Tony. 17 foul for Oklahoma.
North Carolina beating Temple and Indiana winning, so North Carolina and Indiana will play in Atlanta next weekend in the East Regional. Now, there comes a time in an NCAA tournament game, Tim, when you've got a lead and the other team starts to make a little bit of a run at you. Zern is inserted back into the contest, and I think Oklahoma is starting to put a little bit of pressure on Dayton here. And it'll be real interesting to see how Dayton responds. I think they're going to have to look to, as they have all day long, Roosevelt Chapman.
Kentucky walloped BYU today, to the consternation of fans in this Salt Lake City area. Tony with that backcourt foul, second at 2, made only 1. Pierce rebounding. Pennell, he's been shooting well for Oklahoma. McAllister underneath. Tisdale turnaround, won't go. Rebound by Dayton. Tony got a foul call.
If Oklahoma ever gets Wayman Tisdale untracked offensively, he looks like he's moving a little bit better on that ankle. In case you just joined us, he twisted his ankle at the start of the second half after scoring 24 first-half points. He's only got 2 points here in the second half. If he could get going again on that ankle and start making those shots, they'll really make a run at Dayton.
But the Sooners have another problem. One of their hot outside shooters, Pennell, who's taken up the slack from McAllister, just picked up his 4th personal foul. 67-59, Dayton. Pennell to McAllister. Underneath Tisdale, and he hits. But as he comes down, a grimace again. He is hurting. He is not jumping with authority. But that one he banked in for 2 and a chance for 3.
You know, you have to teach centers this. Watch, he does not bring the ball down to his waist. He keeps the ball in the air. I'll tell you, he makes it look easy, but it's not easy out there.
That's the 5th personal foul on Jeff Zern. So the Flyers have lost one of their 2 big men. Tisdale is 2 for 9 from the floor in the second half. He is definitely bothered with the sore ankle, and he is putting on a gritty display for the Sooners, hanging in there.
Now, Ed Young comes back into the contest. He, of course, was their starting big guy. And he has 3 personal fouls. Now, we've got 9.5 minutes to play, so that'll be a big key.
Sorry, he has 4. I gave you 3. He has 4. So Young could follow Zern on miscue. Tisdale hits from the free throw line, and timeout is called. 9:30 to play in a thriller. The Sooners have cut it to 5. There is a Sooner contingent here along with those Dayton fans, and right now they're trying to push their Sooners back. You see, they trail by 5. About 150 people from the Oklahoma area are here to look at the number 2 seed in the West, the Sooners of Oklahoma, 29-4, with a bye into the second round, and they have had to battle uphill against this surprising Dayton Flyers team that brought an 18-10 record into the tournament, one of only 2 independents along with the call in the NCAA championship. This is Chapman. Chapman can play for anybody.
He did the right thing. He knew he was going against a big guy, and he'd have trouble getting a good shot, but he also knew there was a good chance he would draw the foul.
Tisdale picks up his 3rd personal, and Chapman will go to the line. Both teams are in the bonus situation. 17 fouls.
Pretty good line. Chapman's got 57 straight games now at Dayton, where he's been in double figures.
Chapman hits one. We mentioned earlier that it's been snowing heavily almost all day here in Salt Lake City. It has begun to affect our transmission, and so if you're having problems with your pictures at home, we apologize for that, and our engineers are trying to blow the snow away and give you a nice clear picture to watch this exciting second round game from Salt Lake City. 68-62. Dayton in front. Oklahoma ball. McAllister, Pennell, Clark, Tisdale, and Pierce for the Sooners. McAllister with that wrap around his left leg. And the hit from the corner by Pennell. He's got 16 points. Jan Pennell, the senior guard from Washington. Now the press by the Sooners. Let's see. And Goodwin threw it right at an official. Damon Goodwin, as Dayton did not deal with the press.
The referee's considered part of the court. The ball has to go to Oklahoma, and it will.
That was Rich Weiler, the official, who took that nice pass from Goodwin. And Billy Tubbs happy with that turnover. 8:51 to play, second half. Tim Ryan with Lynn Shackelford back in Salt Lake City at the University of Utah Special Events Center. A 4-point lead for Dayton over Oklahoma. An exciting ball game. Dayton just took a timeout. They have 2 remaining. And there is Jerry Tarkanian, coach of the Nevada Las Vegas Running Rebels. They will be playing here later this afternoon. There's his team coming in to watch the end of this one. And they will meet the Miners from Texas El Paso in the second game of 2 here this afternoon in Salt Lake.
Has a play out of bounds to try to go to Tisdale, and keep in mind he's got that bad ankle he couldn't jump for. Each team, of course, gets 3 timeouts, and Dayton took that last timeout, and they needed it. They weren't handling the press or the pressure of Oklahoma defensively at all well.
8:30 to go, second half. Tony and Schellenberg in the backcourt for Dayton. Young is up front with Chapman and Goodwin. Tony away from Pierce. Roosevelt Chapman. 3. Sooners converged on him. He's getting the Tisdale treatment. He gave the shot away and missed.
Oh, I think he couldn't decide whether to bank it or shoot it straight in. I mean, halfway between.
McAllister, Pennell.
Now, Dayton, because of their foul situation, has gone to a zone defense, hoping to commit fewer fouls.
McAllister. And he gets his first basket of the game. The freshman, a good outside shooter from Gary, Indiana. 68-66. The Sooners have closed it to 2. Goodwin in the corner. Schellenberg. Nobody on him. He didn't see that. He had a shot. Young.
Well, you know, they're used to getting so much from Chapman. It seems like the other players are reluctant to take those outside shots.
Chapman missed badly again. Rebound. Goodwin. Goodwin. Turn around. Go. 70-66. Damon Goodwin. Sophomore from St. Mary's, Ohio. 12 points for him. Pennell. John Clark. Here's to Tisdale. Drop. Rebound by Young. Nice pass. Tisdale obviously is just not on his game with ankle injury. He was hot in the first half, struggling here in the second. 2 of 10 from the floor now. Good one. He can hit from there. 72-66.
That's what I think they have to go back to doing. They can't look to Roosevelt Chapman every time on offense. They've got to have some balance.
Goodwin with 14 points. McAllister, and he cans it. Tim McAllister, 2 in a row for him. 72-68. We got ourselves a basketball game. Tony breaks the press. Cedric Tony, good job bringing it up. Chapman slows it up in the backcourt. Chapman over Tisdale again. Tisdale just cannot get up the way he normally does.
Now, he's got the 3 fouls, and I think he kind of respects Chapman. He figures he may have to foul him to stop it.
McAllister won't go. Young the rebound. 31 points for Chapman.
Dayton has to start thinking about when they're going to hold the ball. Look at the second half by Roosevelt Chapman. Of course, Tisdale hampered by the ankle.
Good one. Won't go. Tisdale got up for that rebound, and he comes down limping. Pennell for Clark. Tisdale.
Going to be an offensive foul. No basket.
Tisdale just mowed down Ed Young.
It was a good move. I don't know if it was a good act or not. Can we see? Well, he was bumped fairly hard. But
Young
hard
had
to say
position.
how hard. Yeah.
Young definitely had position. Tisdale just crashed through.
That's the 5th foul, so he's out of there.
It was Pierce.
Pierce fouls out with 15 points. And Coach Billy Tubbs taking his time, which he has, 30 seconds to make that substitution for a player who has just fouled out.
Calvin Pierce on the play, and not Tisdale. 33, not 23, so our apologies for that call. I couldn't believe Tisdale get down that fast because he was limping down court from the other end. Calvin Pierce has had an outstanding game, by the way, for the Sooners.
Yeah, especially second half. 9 of his 15 in the second half. Shue Kennedy comes back in for Oklahoma to replace Pierce.
Kennedy's nickname is Chew. His name is Darrell.
I think if you're Dayton, you've got to start thinking about, well, when are we going to start to sit on this lead? We got 5:20 left in the contest. They got a 6-point lead.
Dayton with the ball. Young off to Tony. Sooners checking closely here now.
You know, if you look at the foul situation for Dayton, they got some players that could foul out of there. I think it's even more important that maybe they just sit on that lead now.
Well, Young in the game has 4. If they lose him, they're 3 deep at the big man position. Good one off to Schellenberg. Clark right on him. Inside Chapman, and he is fouled.
That's what they want.
Tisdale. 4 fouls on Wayman Tisdale.
Well, what they did, Dayton was very alertly, they just spread the court out and they just want to get the shot underneath. Of course, Roosevelt Chapman, you know what's so great about him, Tim, is you never even think about him getting an offensive foul. He's just so under control under there that he never charges over anyone.
Chapman to the line for 2, 74-68. 6 out of 8 from the free throw line.
Calvin Pierce not too happy. Remember, Oklahoma had that bye. They did not get here in Salt Lake City until yesterday. It's a pretty quick trip, win or lose.
They also lost their last game in the tournament of the Big 8 to Kansas. They were coming off a loss, coming here to this NCAA tournament championship. 75-68. Sooners with the ball. Pennell. Kennedy is charged with a foul. His first. And Dayton will go to the line. Houston leading Louisiana Tech 46-40 in the second half. Kind of a low-scoring game for that Houston team. You know what Tech is doing, obviously, and we'll be joining that game at the conclusion of our telecast. So stay with us for more NCAA championship action on CBS Sports.
And as we mentioned earlier in the contest, the winner of this game today will play the winner of the Washington-Duke game, which will be contested in Pullman, Washington tomorrow. That'll be played next weekend in Los Angeles.
Chapman at the line, and he's been hot from there today. 7 of 10 from the line for Chapman. 70% shooting, 33 points.
I don't think Dayton will be uncomfortable at all getting into a one-on-one situation, being fouled occasionally. He shoots 44% of the team.
Chapman used all the iron that time, but it dropped for him. McAllister, Pennell, Kennedy, Sean Clark, and Tisdale for the Sooners now getting a little desperate.
And Tisdale's moving better, too.
And he makes the shot.
He really wants that ball inside. Now his ankle doesn't hurt as much, apparently, and he realizes he's got to do something for them to get back in it.
Timeout called by Billy Tubbs in Oklahoma. 4:13 to play regulation time. A 7-point Dayton lead. And let's take a look at that foul situation. Zern is out for Dayton. Their starting big man, Young, has 4 on him. Goodwin and Chapman, their 2 best shooters, have 3 apiece. Oklahoma, Pierce has gone out. Pennell, who has been very good from outside, with 4. Tisdale, who's simply very good, period, also has 4.
And with that foul situation for Dayton, I think if you're Oklahoma, and Billy Tubbs is probably telling him during the timeout, let's keep going inside. They can't foul us. They're going to have to back off so we can get some good, easy baskets inside. And I think they want to go to Wayman Tisdale. On the other hand, if you're Dayton and you're in that foul situation, I don't care if Wayman Tisdale's got 4 fouls. I'd run that clock down. Let him foul you out there and go to the free throw line.
Despite the snow here in Salt Lake City, which is considerable, there has been a late arriving and very solid crowd coming in here this afternoon on a Saturday afternoon. Of course, they don't have Utah or BYU here, but they're here to watch NCAA championship action. There is a contingent here from Dayton, a solid one from Oklahoma, and right now the Dayton crowd and band is making all the noise. Their team is in front by 7. Oklahoma Sooners, 29 victories coming into the tournament, tied with Georgetown for most wins in the college season. Division I. Dayton ball. Chapman will inbound. Good one.
Good look at the, it's like a 2-1-1 zone press by Oklahoma, and it's pretty easy to break with a couple of passes.
Flyers broke it. Tony and Schellenberg working the backcourt for Dayton. Oklahoma playing very, very tight now. They've got to get the ball.
Yeah, they've got to gamble. They've got to come out.
Sean Clark fouls Schellenberg.
That's the right. Maybe that's one of the better men to foul if you're Oklahoma. Schellenberg, a 66% shooter on the year at the line.
Larry Schellenberg, the junior guard from Floyd's Knobs, Indiana. I love the name of that town. I'm not sure where it is. Somebody will probably call us and tell us. It's in the state of Indiana. He had 9 points and 9 rebounds against LSU, and he is a solid floor leader. You saw Turner, who was fouled out. The big man who was a starter early in the year, struggled, had a big game against LSU off the bench Thursday night, and was a real contributor here today. Tisdale, turnaround jumper. The big left-hander hits. 33 points for him. 78-72, Dayton ball. Tony and Schellenberg will handle it outside. 3:20 on the clock.
Notice how Chapman comes away from the basket now. He can handle the ball, and this is where Dayton has an advantage. Maybe they don't have the size to match up to Oklahoma, but they're better ball handlers. So now with the lead, they have the upper hand.
They are in the driver's seat indeed. That's certainly a pertinent point as we're now under the 3-minute mark, and you can see them moving well, moving the ball well. Cedric Tony almost lost it, but controls to Chapman.
He was going to take the layup if he got it. He thought he was going to get it. They're going to get Kennedy here for a foul. He almost made a great steal.
Yes, he did. Good try by Kennedy, but he fouled Chapman. Chapman will go to the line. 2:41, a 6-point lead for the Flyers of Dayton, Don Donaher's team. Donaher in his 20th year. They have met Oklahoma only once before in their basketball history. In 1982, the NIT tournament, 3rd round, Sooners defeated them 91-82. This would be sweet revenge if they can hang in here.
51-44, Houston over Louisiana Tech, so Tech coming back a little bit there.
We'll be going to that game after this one. Chapman takes his 9th from the free throw line in 13 tries.
A great matchup of the big men there. Malone for Louisiana Tech, and of course Hakeem Olajuwon for Houston. 2 of the best big men in the country, and you can see that in that contest.
Chapman at 29 against LSU in the first round. He's at 36 here this afternoon. Tim Ryan and Lynn Shackelford live from the University of Utah. An exciting game between Oklahoma and Dayton. Foul on Tony, I believe. Cedric Tony picks up his 3rd. 1-and-1 for McAllister. Here's Cedric Tony, a handsome young man from Dayton, Ohio, Wilbur Wright High School. Brought in an 11.6 average into the tournament. McAllister hits.
Now, for the knowledge of some of you who have just started watching the NCAA tournament on CBS, ignore that line out there, that three-point basket line. That's not in effect at all, and neither is a shot clock. So Dayton can just run out as much time as they want.
Don Gandy in the game for the Sooners picks up the foul, and it'll send Chapman to the line again. Don Gandy, a senior guard from South Bend, Indiana, and chose Oklahoma.
Look at the shoulders on Roosevelt Chapman. You can see why he can score inside.
Well, the Sooners are checking the clock with some concern. Billy Tubbs and his team, what a job he's done in Oklahoma. They're basketball crazy down there and a great football school. Suddenly basketball is right there in the affections of Oklahoma sports fans. No matter what happens here today, they have arrived.
They'll never get back into the game that way. They've got to keep going into their bread and butter Tisdale for the inside shots. They're starting to panic a little bit. It looks like Oklahoma. Well, they should. The clock's really against them now.
2 minutes, 10-point Dayton margin. Foul off the ball.
And they're going to say it's an intentional foul, 2 free throws, which the officials normally will call a foul away from the ball as an intentional foul.
The Sooners can see what's happening here. 1:56 to play. Tony at the line. 10-point Dayton lead is now 11. 16 points for Cedric Toney, the junior from Dayton, the only starter from Dayton. And his points back home are 11 net.
Obviously, there have been some upsets in the NCAA tournament thus far. This, by far, though, is the biggest upset. Oklahoma, one of the premier teams in the country.
Pennell, what an afternoon he's had for the Sooners. 18 points. Timeout is called by Oklahoma. 1:45 to play. The Dayton Flyers appear headed to the third round. Tim Ryan with Lynn Shackelford. We are live from Salt Lake City's University of Utah. Dayton about to finish off their second consecutive upset. They dumped LSU on Thursday night. They are about to do the same to Oklahoma. Now remember, the Sooners 29-4, tied with Georgetown for most wins in a Division I season. They had a bye into the second round. They were seeded number 2 in the entire West region. And of course they were the top seeded team in the sub-regional here in Salt Lake. But right now it is the Flyers of Dayton, led by Roosevelt Chapman from Brooklyn, New York, an outstanding senior, an outstanding basketball player. The Sooners pressing. Tony has handled the press well for Dayton, and he does again.
And that was a man-to-man press there.
83-74.
Coach Billy Tubbs has done a smart thing. He's inserted 4 quick players, or of his quickest players in the lineup with Wayman Tisdale. He needs that because they've got to gamble out there on defense.
Pennell, Gandy, Clark, Tisdale, and McAllister for Oklahoma. Chapman, good one, and there's a foul on Gandy. Chapman, good one, Schellenberg, Tony, and Ed Young. Ed Young has been in there for some time with 4 fouls, but has been doing a good job of avoiding the 5th. Chapman will go to the line. We're down to 117, and there is the other Tisdale. I'm afraid he's going to be stuck with that. His name is William. Into the game for the first time for Oklahoma. Like his brother Wayman, he is a sophomore, but he is a year older. He was redshirted last year. And
Houston's starting to fade in the game that you're going to be seeing next that we're going to go to as soon as this one is over. Houston is now only leading by 4, 54-50 over Louisiana Tech. So Louisiana Tech, who knocked off Fresno State Thursday, got a chance to win again, perhaps.
Well, we've had a thriller for you here, and it looks like you're going to another one. Pennell driving and 2 Sooners bash in there, and it was Clark who made the basket. 85-76. Sean Clark, number 24. Chapman comes back to handle the ball with Schellenberg up to Tony, and again the Flyers break it easily. Under a minute to go. The foul by William Tisdale, number 22 for the Sooners. And the Dayton Flyers en route to the next round in the NCAA championship. 40 points for Roosevelt Chapman.
That's by far his season high. His previous high was 34 against Cincinnati. Now, this is a team, Dayton, that did knock off DePaul earlier in the year. So even though their record was only 19-10 coming into this contest, they have played and beaten some of the best.
41 points now for Chapman, 33 for Tisdale. They certainly have both been brilliant here today, and a gritty performance by Wayman Tisdale, who injured his ankle early in the second half, and it definitely affected his play, but he stayed in there. Chapman misses the second. Gandy rebounds. There are 7 minutes remaining in that Louisiana Tech game against Houston, and Houston leads by 8. It's Gandy here for Oklahoma. So we'll be going to that game when we conclude here with 47 seconds remaining and a timeout call. 86-78 Dayton lead. Well, we'd like to thank our producer this afternoon, Rick Sharp, and our executive producer, Kevin O'Malley, who's looking at things back in New York, and Rick Sharp here at the site. Our director, Robert O'Fishman, today on this St. Patrick's Day. Our associate producer, Robert Patina. And field technical manager, making sure you get those pictures cleared up, Oscar Vitale. Pierce O'Neill and Mark Brown, our broadcast associates today. Technical director, Steve Cunningham. Mark Radulovich, who provided us with our very nice incarnations, and George Beauregard for Patrick's Day, and we thank him. And the rest of our outstanding technical crew, they are all from Los Angeles, enjoying the snow here in Utah this afternoon. Outstanding crew for an outstanding game. Cooperation of the NCAA has always very much appreciated the hospitality of the folks here at the University of Utah. Well, second game coming up this afternoon here at the University of Utah with UNLV and UTEP.
Tim, people are going to bring up that inevitable argument, well, that it was a disadvantage for Oklahoma to come in here with a bye. They just came in yesterday. There some of the players on the sidelines, including Wayman Tisdale, who is out of the contest, as they now have to try to intercept on defense. And they're going to say, on the other hand, Dayton picked up that momentum by knocking off LSU on Thursday night.
I heard Billy Packer say earlier today on another CBS telecast, however, that Bobby Knight, the Indiana coach, says, hey, forget that stuff about not taking the bye. Anytime you can get into the second round without playing somebody, you want to do that. So that would be the attitude perhaps that Billy Tubbs had. But right now, his attitude is not real happy. 46 seconds remaining. Young will go to the line for Dayton. And the Flyers have been flying here in Utah.
Tisdale comes in as a kind of a platooning system here. And there's going to be a very happy University of Dayton Flyer team.
Well, on the other side, of course, you put your chin on your hands when you face defeat. But a gritty display by the Sooners, who came in here with a number of guys hurting. Calvin Pierce, Tim McAllister, Jan Pinnell, and David Johnson coming off the flu. And the Tisdale got hurt in the second half, played to the game until these late moments. But they were outmanned and outplayed by this surprising Dayton Flyers team. What a coaching job by Don Donaher, who will join Bobby Knight on the Olympic coaching staff this summer. Donaher, the 20-year veteran, matching wits with Billy Tubbs, and a look of consternation on the face of that man who, in 4 years at Oklahoma, has made the Sooners a basketball power. Despite their loss here today, what an outstanding year. They'll fall to 29-5. Only Georgetown had as many. Young hits for Dayton. 87-78.
Oklahoma came in as the regular season Big 8 champions, lost in the finals of the Big 8 postseason tourney to Kansas by 1 point. So they'll end the season, assuming they lose, and it looks like they're going to, with 2 straight losses.
Clark from outside. Gandy will press Chapman on the baseline. With the Flyers control. 30 seconds left. And they're going to call that one on Chapman. Pushing into Don Gandy. Gandy gave up his body and got the ball. senior from South Bend. Under 5 minutes remaining in that game. Houston with an 8-point lead, so that's obviously not over at all, and we're going to go to the end of that game when we conclude our telecast here. It'll be an exciting finish there. The big guys from Houston with their hands full against LA Tech.
Three-pointer. They're still not out of this.
Tisdale hits the little jumper, and now it's a 7-point margin with Tisdale going to the line.
Well, the basket cuts it down to 5, and he can cut it to 4 if he makes this free throw, and then they'll put on that full-court press.
5-point margin, correct. 87-82. Tisdale now with 35.
That offensive foul there by Roosevelt Chapman makes a big difference. Christie, the freshman, coming in first for ball handling purposes, and they take out Young. So Dayton doing a little platooning of their own, if you'd like.
Tisdale hits the free throw. 87-83. So we're going to have a little excitement at the finish here. Oklahoma playing. Flyers get it up. Tony with 19 seconds. Christie, good one. Tony, timeout call. No, wait a minute.
Two-shot foul away from the ball. So Christie will go to the free throw line. McAllister made the foul.
Off the ball, Billy Tubbs looking pleading with the officials, saying, hey, what are you doing to us?
He said, hey, he's arguing that it should not be a two-shot foul. It should be a 1-and-1.
Billy Tubbs, he does remind me of Jack Nicholson. He happens to be one of the great basketball fans among the Hollywood acting crowd. 88-83 as young Christie on the line. Dan Christie, a friend from Oak Harbor. Cooley makes 2. And that ought to do it. 89-83. McAllister off the back iron, gets his own rebound. Tim McAllister, nice effort. Back to 4, but time will wind up.
Oklahoma's out of timeout.
For the Dayton Flyers, they're into the next round. Tim Ryan for Lynn Shackelford, returning it now to Brent Musburger in New York.
All right, Tim, thank you. Roosevelt Chapman out of Brooklyn with 41 points, no doubt about the Chevrolet most valuable player of the game as far as Dayton is concerned. Chapman's 40 points, the first time any player in an NCAA tournament has gone past that mark since Jack Gibbons did it with Kentucky back in the 1978 championship victory over Duke. And for Oklahoma, Wayman Tisdale, he wound up with 36, but he was slowed because of the ankle injury. Now,